Hey everybody, JJ here. Happy Friday. Hopefully everybody is doing good and ending the week on a positive and productive footing. This is JJ, of course, and we're kicking off the PCDIY live stream show. This is our 30th stream, so excited to go ahead and kick things off. We've actually got a lot of things to jump into. Specifically, we're going to actually be talking about a wide range of brand new products that we announced at our recent Create the Uncreated event, where we actually showcased a huge number of new products, especially for, I think, users that are interested in kind of the more prosumer and professional series of products that we offer underneath, let's say, like our ProArt line or our studio book products, as well as a lot of refreshes for our systems related product. And while this is our PC DIY stream, definitely, if you guys are interested in anything that is related to our systems-related products like our laptops, you definitely might want to check out that stream. It's currently uploaded, and you can check it out on both Facebook and on YouTube. And it's a great stream that really dives into a huge number of our products, especially, like I said, if you're interested in the latest generation of our Studio Book products, our Vivo books, our ZenBook series products, as well as a lot of cool products that we have, especially in terms of monitors and OLED. You're definitely going to want to check out that stream. Hey, I believe it's Elijah. Yeah, sure. I can definitely give you definitely give you a shout out, man. Thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate it. Happy to have you here. So, outside of those new products that we're going to be talking about, we've got, of course, some updates in terms of new UEFI firmware releases that we normally talk about on Fridays. We've also got some availability announcements and also some promotions and deals that are currently going on that we want to give you guys some visibility on. So, if you're interested in picking up some hardware, then you can definitely check those out as well. Hey, Ground Game, man, thanks for joining us here on the stream. Happy to have you here, man. So let's go ahead and jump into first things first. So I just want to give you guys just a quick update in terms of just kind of general UEFI updates before I get into a lot of the product announcements, because we've got a lot of them. I've gone ahead and actually posted our latest round of UEFI firmware releases for AMD and Intel series motherboards. They're currently posted in our PCDIY group. You can actually find the link in the description if you guys are interested. I'll paste it there in the chat in a moment if you guys want to check it out. Hey, Nathan, thanks for joining us here on the stream. And pretty much there wasn't a huge number of updates this week. I think in total there was maybe 11 updates. The majority of them were for Intel series motherboards, and then there was, I think, a couple that were for AMD series. Overall, AMD motherboards, we've just finished pretty much a really big kind of unilateral update to the AMD Agiso 1.2.0.3 patch C based build, and that was pretty much rolled out for 400 and 500 series motherboards. And then, of course, there's been a large number of updates that we've been issuing to essentially help to lay the foundation for readiness for Windows 11. This just helps to kind of enable a couple of quick parameters within the UEFI so that if you do go ahead and then in the future install Windows 11, you don't have to worry about making adjustments in the UEFI. Again, if you guys are interested in finding out about those boards, as well as kind of like a full deep dive in terms of all my recommendations and insights, if you're interested in updating your UEFI firmware, or what some people still call the BIOS, then make sure to go ahead and check out that post in our PCDIY group. All right, guys? Okay, that gets us covered on that side of the fence. So next up, let's go ahead and actually jump into a lot of the brand new products. So pretty much what we had going on recently was, like I said, this Create the Uncreated event. This was a big live stream that helped to introduce a lot of new products that we were going to be introducing for 2021, as well as actually moving into 2020. And most of what we're going to be talking about is definitely going to be on the what we refer to as the PCDIY or the component side of the fence, although we did definitely talk a lot about systems related products. So here you're just going to see a couple of them. We introduced actually a couple of new monitors, some really cool, exciting monitors, especially if you're interested in OLED and portable-based displays. We've got some new kind of interesting peripherals that are a little bit geared towards creators as well. That's going to kind of cover most of the items, and we'll definitely dive into these much more when they actually get, of course, into their formal launch. But here I just want to kind of give you guys a little bit of a heads up in terms of some of the cool stuff you guys are going to be seeing in terms of this lineup. Ordered a Crosshair 8 Extreme. Yeah, so the Crosshair 8 Extreme, it's part of the X570 passively cooled chipset lineup. So most of the partners that essentially have them listed for pre-order, so like Newegg, take for instance, along with the others, they're looking to probably be shipping, I think, around probably next week or probably the week after, essentially kind of towards the end of this month and as we move into October. It just kind of depends logistically when those partners received the actual allocation from distribution centers and got those processed in. Different kind of logistics play out for different types of e-tailers and retailers. So not everybody necessarily has the same exact relative timeline, but overall I would expect to start to see kind of fulfillment if there was a pre-order that was listed for the motherboard, probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Could be a little bit sooner, but of course you can definitely find out that information directly from the e-tailer that you ordered it from. But awesome that you picked up an Extreme board, man. It's seriously a sweet motherboard. And if anybody's interested in checking out the latest range of the 4 brand new passively cooled chipset X570 series motherboards, we've got a full live stream on YouTube and on Facebook that you guys can check out, where I do a deep dive on all the boards. You can find out about all the respective features, functions, and designs that they offer. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get into the first new product here that I want to go ahead and talk about a bit. This is a pretty exciting product. It's got definitely, I think, a unique set of features, if we want to definitely call it that, and we'll definitely jump into this first. So first and foremost, give me 1 sec to just load up an image for it here, guys. We're going to be taking a look here at the ProArt display OLED PA32DC. And so, of course, the big thing here is that this is an OLED-based display, and it's 32 inches. And it's really going to be targeted, of course, for professionals that are looking for a studio-centric monitor, as well as kind of an office-centric monitor for professional content creation purposes. So we've kind of coined it as a monitor that's designed for the set and for the studio, and you'll definitely see that there's a couple of reasons why we've gone ahead and kind of coined it a studio and a set-based monitor in terms of its overall design intent here. So let me go ahead and just bring up some of the images here, and we will go from there, guys. It's a very cool looking display. All right, here we go. Got our images here. Hey, Omar, was asking about the ROG 360. Yes, don't worry about that. I will actually be talking about availability updates a little bit later once I kind of get through the initial kind of new products for the Create the Uncreated event that I just want to kind of dive into a little bit here. But there will be an update. Quickly, I can just tell you that essentially all of our refresh series coolers that we're going to be offering, you're going to be looking at the very end of this month, moving into October in terms of kind of the overall launch time frame. The only model that has already been pushed out and is available is the ROG STRIX LC2. 280 millimeter based radio configuration version, but the Ryujin 2, the 240, the 360 version, as well as the other coolers that we're going to be offering as part of our refresh, those are all going to be coming towards, like I said, the very end of this month, moving into October. But I'll dive into a little bit more of that in a little bit. Okay. All right. So this is it right here. So this is, like I noted, the ProArt display OLED PA32DC. So this is going to be the world's first OLED-based monitor with a fully integrated colorimeter for essentially automatic color calibration. It's an extremely color accurate display in terms of our intended target. So it's going to have very, very high out-of-box color accuracy. It's, of course, going to have out-of-box calibration directly from the factory. Because, of course, of the OLED-based technology, you're going to have extremely impressive contrast ratio, really be able to achieve those high-performing kind of black levels that you would really kind of want to see, especially within an OLED-based display. And it will meet a display HDR standard for true black. As far as what that final specification will be, we'll probably be releasing that specification as we get a little bit closer to the launch there. We'll talk a little bit more in terms of some of the other elements here, but let's first kind of just first take a look here, and you can see that one of the unique, interesting elements, as I talked about, that this is the monitor that's going to be designed for the studio and for the set, and it actually has 2 different types of mounting configuration options that are available to you. You have one, a traditional stand, which is designed kind of for like a desk. Of course, you could also mount this on an arm if you wanted to, where you've got kind of your full range of traditional ergonomic adjustments. But then you also actually have a stabilized low profile base design, which is really well suited for an on studio or an on set based kind of configuration. So as we go ahead and take some of the other kind of design intents here that are kind of interesting, that also kind of really push this monitor towards having some different types of flexibility and being more kind of like a display, is going to be one here. You see an integrated handle, which is nice, especially for a large base display like what we've got here with 32 inches, right? Now, there's also going to be a big difference in terms of how we've gone ahead and integrated cable management. So traditionally, your cable management is going to be kind of the underside of the monitor at the very base, right? You've kind of plug in your cables vertically, but here the cables actually have been situated, essentially all your connections, on 2 sides, and they're all essentially horizontally placed. And then there is corresponding cable routing points so that you can go ahead and line up those cables so that they're essentially very easy to go ahead and remove or insert. This can be really valuable, again, like I said, if you're moving the monitor, especially like I said, in a studio-based environment or in a set-based environment, whichever those might be. And even in general, I think for just kind of a desk setup, it is nice to be able to have, I think, essentially easier visibility, that you can just kind of look at the side, know where you're directly plugging something in, as opposed to generally one of the nice things with the ProArt displays, because it has the ability to rotate the display. You can rotate it, then plug everything in, and then you can rotate it back in terms of the normal orientation. But this just kind of makes things easier. Here you can see, of course, dimensions of 31.5 inches, right? This is, of course, part of our ProArt series lineup. And if you're not aware, we have a wide range of monitors in terms of ASUS series displays. Our ProArt series displays do actually start off quite price aggressively, but their real focus is going to be on color accuracy and color control, as well as calibration support. And that would go down all the way to, let's say, like our entry-level CV series monitors, which start off at a few $100s, and of course go right away up to our flagship series monitors, like what we're going to have here with this model, which will be OLED, or of course other models that we're going to have that use the most advanced type of backlighting technologies, such as like mini LED technologies, for users that are really looking for the highest level of peak brightness and high dynamic range support, and specialized workflows that really benefit from that. So yeah, in terms of actually how it'll be able to be configured, that hasn't been finalized, but right now the original intent is going to be ideally that essentially you will have both stand options available to you. They'll come included with the unit, but as we actually get closer to the launch of the product, we'll finalize the actual in-box essentially bundle specifications to kind of let you know essentially what you will get when you purchase the monitor. Now here, it looks a little bit interesting. You're just essentially seeing the monitor with a blue display, but the interesting part there is, if you look at the very top, is that it has an integrated colorimeter. And so the really nice thing about this is that, as opposed to having to have like a third-party colorimeter, which you have to mount, attach, remember to go through the calibration process, it really kind of gets simplified because it's built into the display. When you're not using it, essentially it just kind of swings back up and it's hidden and it's part of the display. You don't see it, but it can also be essentially set to be automated. And that's beneficial because in some scenarios, depending on changes in your ambient light condition or what you can call color drift, which can naturally occur over time with the display, where you're going to want to recalibrate it. Probably super critical people, probably every 3 to 6 months, conservatively at least every 6 months, and definitely at a minimum at least once a year, especially if you're really trying to have the highest level of color accuracy. But the great thing is that it's now directly integrated in here. And like many of our professional displays, there are going to be, of course, much more advanced and granular options. A traditional monitor, you usually only have like a 3-point color access control, and there's not a lot of subsets in terms of different types of range of adjustments. On ProArt series displays, you have 6 color access controls, and you have a lot more sub values that are available to you in terms of how you kind of want to tweak and tune everything. Those are respectively listed under features that we call our ProArt palette, and some other options that we have available within the on-screen display. So here you can see, of course, it now being switched up again and going with that different type of setup orientation that would be more kind of intended for the set environment as opposed to a studio environment. And then you can also see that you have your kind of sun hood, or essentially something that helps to kind of block out any type of reflections, is always going to be beneficial, essentially for color accurate workflows, especially depending on the type of ambient and overhead lighting that you might have. So it's going to be another kind of distinguishing point compared to, let's say, like a traditional high quality, IPS gaming centric based display. You're generally not going to have these type of options. So that is the OLED, the ProArt OLED PA32DC. Again, this is going to be a very high-end spec monitor, 31.5 inches, 4K resolution. It's going to be using a pure RGB OLED strip panel-based design. Some kind of also people sometimes wonder a little bit about kind of differences in terms of kind of like a television as opposed to a monitor. There are going to actually be differences in terms of the actual implementation of the panel that are optimized for actually text clarity and text sharpness. And generally, this isn't as something that's as critical, of course, in, let's say, a television that you could potentially use like a monitor, because they are designed pretty much for just viewing in terms of viewing content. So viewing moving images, right? So you're going to be looking at video, and generally in most scenarios, as opposed to a monitor really has to work ideally in multiple scenarios where you're going to be using it for, of course, text in a traditional 2D type workflow, but then you also are going to be utilizing it to preview and look at content as well. And so that is where there's going to be a big differentiation. And definitely as we get closer to the launch, we'll dive a little bit more into helping you guys understand some of those key differences. But it's an exciting product. I know a lot of people have kind of been wondering when we're going to start seeing more OLED-based displays. Of course, this is going to be definitely the premium highest end part of the segment as part of a flagship series part of our ProArt series products. But for professionals out there that are definitely looking for that impressive level of kind of image quality that OLED allows for, this is going to be a pretty sweet display. And again, it's the world's first display also integrated with that integrated colorimeter. And one thing that's also kind of cool about those ProArt series displays is that they do also tie in with our ProArt series motherboards and other ProArt series products like our laptops, where we have what's called a ProArt Creator Hub, which kind of actually can see the monitor. It can actually tell you your calibration workflow information. It does a lot of really cool, interesting things to help to kind of streamline the overall experience when you're working with the monitor. So it's a pretty cool setup that you have available to you when you kind of bridge these products together. So next up, we've got another ProArt display, and this one we're kind of going on the entire other end of the spectrum. So we went from a really big OLED-based display to we're going to go to a much smaller OLED-based display, but I think one that's also going to be still very exciting. So let me go ahead and just bring up this image for this guy. And let me see here. I think I need to probably split some of these here. Yeah, I'll start off with a set of these and then we'll go with another set. Okay. And there we go. Okay, guys. So this is going to be a portable-based display. So this first image here is going to kind of be really interesting because you're going to be like, am I looking at actually a display? And you actually are looking at a display. So if we go ahead and, again, kind of switch up here, and you kind of go from it being laid flat, where you can imagine that you could easily slide this into your bag. You could have this on your desk, just kind of set over to the side, right? Essentially, it just being so thin and light, you're going to have the flexibility to really be able to kind of take this on the go with you, or position it in kind of any way or place that kind of really makes sense for you. And you can see right here just a couple of different type of orientations, because one of the cool things is with this portable display, you are going to have the flexibility of having an integrated smart case there that gives you the ability to have different levels of adjustment that are available to you. So if you want to prop it up and have it a little bit more angled, if you want to have a more traditional kind of frontward facing viewing angle, or if you even want to go into a portrait or vertical based orientation, you'll have that flexibility. Now, the cool thing about this model is the one that we're showing right here is going to be the smaller. It will be essentially kind of a 13-inch, and then we will be releasing a little bit later a 15-inch based model. But these essentially are going to be great for somebody that wants to be able to take advantage of OLED, but without necessarily having to go to the much higher price point that you're going to have with a very high-end professional OLED-based display, but you're going to get those benefits. So this is going to fall under our ZenScreen series of products. If you're not familiar, the ZenScreen series, we've had now these for a few years. We have quite a range of portable series of monitors. We'll actually be talking about a very new entry-level offering that we have that literally starts off, I think, at $130. And our most recent edition, one of the new ProArt models, goes a little bit over probably about almost $500. This model, we don't have a finalized MSRP, but definitely will be in that more premium positioning because, of course, it's featuring OLED-based display. But it's going to be 13 inches, featuring OLED. You're going to have, of course, full HDR10, 100% DCI-P3 gamut in terms of the color, outstanding delta accuracy in terms of factory calibration out of the box with a target of being under 2, and pretty much kind of all those buzz points that you would really expect when it comes to an OLED-based display. And the larger version, that 15.6-inch version, will be coming later after the 13-inch version. So some of the cool things here is going to be it's very slim, compact-based profile, 5mm thin, so super thin in terms of the display here. And you can see right there that nice little kind of smart case design, very clean aesthetic. You've got your connectivity, you can see right there. And in terms of the connectivity, you're going to have a mini HDMI, and then there's also going to be multiple USB-C ports. And the USB-C ports can support what's called Display Alt. which is essentially a display port signal from the USB-C connection. This can actually also power the display as well, so it gives you a lot of flexibility. So you could literally connect this to anything from like a phone, a laptop, a desktop, a wide range of really devices. With HDMI and with the display port, you pretty much can connect it to anything that can output a video display. So you're going to have definitely a lot of flexibilities. And again, with the USB-C and supporting that display alt, if your device and everything kind of can work, it can pretty much power and output the display simultaneously. Whereas if you're using the mini HDMI, then of course with the mini HDMI, then you will need to have two forms of connection, one to be able to have the actual display signal and another one to be able to power the display. Now, some of the cool things too is that this model also will actually be integrating an integrated tripod attachment option. So you can see right here, this accessory will allow you to mount it, and then from there you can have now this nice kind of vertically lifted base display, which you can adjust, pivot it, and be able to have this great experience that OLED offers wherever you want to position it on your desk. And again, if you're kind of traveling, if you're pairing this with another type of product, that's what really makes it really so flexible, is that you have those kind of two key experiences, right? You can go with what's integrated within the smart case, or you can also leverage the tripod-based design. Hey, yeah, as far as the price point, I'm assuming you're asking for the PA32DC in terms of, will it be kind of higher than the current mini LED based? Right now, we just don't want to confirm on a price point, just because right now we haven't finalized kind of all the aspects of the monitor. So again, for MSRP pricing, once we actually get a little bit closer to the launch, we'll definitely make sure to disclose that information so you guys have clear understanding in terms of what the MSRP pricing will be for the North American release. And similarly, same thing for this product. We don't have an MSRP pricing yet. These are just brand new products that we are going to be having coming out in the not too distant future, but we wanted to provide some visibility for those of you that may be interested. Hey, Richard, thanks for joining. Happy to have you here, man. Very cool. Also, thanks for having Dark Hero, man. Team ROG and Team Crosshair. It's a fantastic board. So again, here you can kind of see it hooked up. And while we're showing it, of course, with the laptop, again, because you have the display output, the display alt connection, which is essentially a display port standard, or the mini HDMI, you could easily connect this to a desktop. So again, this is going to be the ZenScreen. It's going to be the MQ13AH, and that will essentially also be coming, like I said, in a larger 15.6-inch version. So this is going to be the Asus ZenScreen OLED MQ13AH, and then we'll have the Asus ZenScreen OLED MQ16AH. So the 13 is just the smaller version, the 13-inch, and then the 16-inch will be a little bit larger. But you'll have two additional portable OLED-based displays. And I think definitely, for me, this is really exciting. Like I do a lot of photography. I do some, of course, some video editing, different types of content, and just as kind of an enthusiast and a hobbyist, I love the flexibility that I could have an OLED-based display kind of right next to my larger traditional IPS-based display, which I use for gaming and other things. If I want to be able to take a look at content, then be able to throw that in my bag and be able to have such a really high quality display that would be fantastic for looking at images and video and just general desktop use. So really excited about that. So that is going to be the next up that we have in terms of a new product announcement. So now we've got one more monitor here that we also want to touch on that's going to be new. And let me go ahead and get this guy loaded up here. Give me 1 second here. Actually, I think did I have one other set of images here for the MB? Yeah, here's just, showing you, of course, you can use it in different orientations, which you would expect. Pretty straightforward, right? Okay, so now let's go to, I think, something that when I went ahead and posted about it, a lot of people were very surprised. A very different type of display. Definitely is not kind of your standard type of display that you would think. So let me go ahead and load up a couple of things here, and we're going to go through and show you what we've got going on with this display. It's a very different type of display here, but definitely I think very exciting. Okay, so okay, yeah, that's good. So here we go. This is going to be our next up. So this is going to be the ProArt display PA147CDV. 147CDV. So right away, you're going to see that this has a very, very interesting ultra wide aspect ratio. It definitely doesn't follow a traditional type of aspect ratio. And this is because this display is not just a traditional standard display. You're going to have an IPS-based display, so it's not OLED, but a high-quality IPS display. It's going to be a touchscreen, multi-point, 10-point touchscreen, MPP 2.0 support, which also means that it has stylus support, so that you can do, you can take notes, you can utilize a stylus, and it also integrates our ASUS dial technology. So there's a lot of things that are really interesting within this that are going to be, again, creator focused, but I do think that there are going to be users in the traditional kind of desktop space that might really love to position this directly underneath their monitor, and be able to have visible information, be able to, like I said, have notes, be able to kind of swipe through different types of content, and be able to set up some very interesting display configurations. And while we're definitely targeting this towards our creators and professionals, I think for some of you guys that love stat panels, this is a really cool looking stat panel that you could run directly underneath your primary monitor with a full breakdown that's also touch centric, so you can see everything from your your temperatures, but even be able to have one touch options to be able to, let's say, customize things like your fan controls, or overclocking profiles or different things like that. So very, very interesting type of display here. So you can see right here, we talked about it has MPPT 2.0 support. So that essentially just means that it has input support directly embedded by Microsoft. So it's supported by that. And so you can utilize, we do have an ASUS stylus pen that will allow you to go ahead and take notes, or you can draw on it. And here you can see, of course, now the interesting kind of design with it. Now this has an integrated hinge design that allows it to actually lay entirely flat, and you can then adjust it at different angles. So it's a freestanding based design, so that you can go ahead and adjust it to whatever works best for you, whether you kind of want to have a little bit more of a visual based perspective to it, or you want to kind of lay it down a little bit more for maybe note taking or for drawing on the display. Here you can see a little bit more adjusted, right, in terms of those positioning. And of course, you could even go entirely vertical with it if you wanted to use it for that. Here, you can imagine maybe putting something like, certain types of software like your Microsoft Teams, or you could be using things like Slack. It could be messaging, desktop chat clients. You could have a number of different things here. And I love the fact that, again, because it's a touch-based display, which traditionally most users for the primary desktop-based interface do not have a touch interface, you have the flexibility of offering you touch alongside with your traditional display, but something that can be compact. And again, you can position it directly next to the monitor, or you can position it directly below the monitor. Now here, you're also going to see one really interesting part here, which is going to be the dial. So the dial is something that we've been introducing for a little while, and it's a very interesting type of design implementation, and really the goal is essentially it allows you to have a kind of kinesthetic or tactile based type control, right? Something that you can physically touch and be able to adjust. Now, because this also supports Windows dial support, it can be mapped to a wide range of things, so you can really do a huge number of kind of physical adjustments with that dial. But we do have ready alignment to integrate that within applications such as Adobe's Creative Cloud Suite. So things like brush sizes and many other options you could immediately begin to adjust directly within that dial, but you could easily map this to cover a wide range of other items. So this is really kind of where the flexibility is up to you in terms of how you want to be able to utilize this dial, whether it's going to be through the integration of the control hub that we offer that allows you to kind of manage this for a more creative centric endeavor, or of course you can leverage the integrated dial based support, which is inside of Windows, that allows you to kind of customize it and utilize it in your traditional desktop environment or within other applications. Yeah, actually, Hamad, you're right. You could definitely, this could be really interesting for kind of like a Discord or any kind of chat or anything kind of display like that. This is a very good. So here you can see the kind of the control panel interface. The control panel interface will give you a secondary set of options that you could use for hotkeys and different types of adjustment parameters that you can go ahead and customize. Again, we'll have a large set of kind of pre-designated input options that are available within the control panel that will already be set for Adobe applications, and we're going to continue to essentially work with other partners to be able to integrate more support. And we would love to hear, users' feedback in terms of what functionality and feature set they would like to see. But keep in mind, this is entirely already just a secondary display Windows will purely see it as a secondary display. You can position whatever you want in there. The 10-point touch is going to be readily usable right off the bat. Of course, the stylus input support is already there after that, and the dial support is also already embedded within Windows. So a lot of a customization you can already manage right off when you get the monitor. So very, very lightweight, 740 grams. So this is something that, again, you could easily kind of slide in your bag. You can have access to it, be able to work with it there very easily. You can see you've got multiple connections there, including a full-size HDMI. You've got your USB-C connections there. And again, just like the other portable displays that we talked about, you've got the display alt standard support. So you can power this and also have display simultaneously on this monitor. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you slide this directly underneath, that's where I think it's perfect, right? You know, if you just put this directly underneath your monitor, and the fact that you could even lay it entirely flat down, so if you want to have things on top of it, so it's not even taking up a lot of your desk, I really love that type of design concept. So I'm going to be really interested because I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be using this in a very interesting way. Supports Kalman verification, which is even a higher standard in terms of out-of-box color accuracy support. So it's going to have very good color accuracy. It is an IPS-based display. It's actually got pretty punchy brightness. I believe, I'll double check on the actual brightness values, but it's actually quite a bit higher than a traditional standard monitor. Most traditional monitors that most people have is going to be between probably about 250 to about 350 nits. This is actually brighter than that, which of course is beneficial in having somewhat of a creator-based display that you might use portably, you know, outdoors or of course, you know, out on the go. Here you can see that adjustment where you can see up to 65 degrees, and you can see that large dial that's there directly on the side that you can go ahead and you can make your adjustments to. 14 inches, like I said, in terms of the display ratio, 32 by 9, so it's very ultra wide base display there. Okay, and there you can see it entirely laid flat. So very cool design. I mean, I think this is going to be, you know, for me, it was probably the sleeper hit product, I think, within what we showed off there for the event. Overall, I think very cool. Got a last couple of just images here to kind of show you guys, and we will kind of go from there. So give me 1 second. Just loading up this image here. And again, this is the ProArt display, the PA147CDV. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Yep. So here, as you can just see, where it's a little bit of a different angle of adjustment, 17 degrees as opposed to that 65 degrees that we showed a little bit off. So again, that's integrated in there. So that hinge design allows you to go ahead and make that adjustment however you want to kind of best work depending on what you're looking to do. And here you can see, again, this is supporting 10-point multi-touch, which that's also nice for gestures. I could even imagine this like interesting, like on a desktop, you could have that and you could have gesture-based controls for different things that you're doing on your desktop, whether it's kind of like browsing through websites. Maybe you don't always want to have your mouse hand or something like that. It could be really interesting to kind of see how people do it. I like this implementation as well as for the MPP 2.0 support, which of course gives you essentially input for being able to draw as well as using a stylus for taking notes. And again, here you can see just an example of the ASUS dial with the brush adjustment. So again, this would be like, let's say, if you were inside of Photoshop, or you can imagine being in Lightroom and maybe you were adjusting different types of you know, filters or different types of adjustment ranges, whether it's maybe contrast or saturation, maybe a masking layer, you know, different types of items. There's a lot of flexibility in terms of what you have available here. We have not finalized the price here, Shadow Fox, in terms of for this model. So I can't tell you what the projected MSRP, but it definitely will be targeted to be in that higher end of the spectrum, because you have to account for right now the majority of our MB series monitors that do feature an IPS-based display that feature multi-touch support are calibrated and also have the ASUS dial and other items like that. They definitely carry a little bit more of a premium price tag. You can actually check out a similar kind of model that we have, but it doesn't have that very interesting aspect ratio. And in the PA, let me see if I can bring it up here. The PA148CDV. So this monitor actually already has the ASUS dial in it, and this one you can kind of look for this model, and you could kind of probably expect that you would see a fairly similar pricing to it, because many of the key features and the functional design elements are going to be very similar. And that model comes in for $399. So again, I don't have a hard price for you, but let me go ahead and put that in the chat for you guys, and you can kind of see that there. Okay. Okay, very, very cool, guys. So that wraps up that guy in terms of our displays there. Now, we've also got a great kind of write-up on many of these new products on our EdgeUp website. So if you guys want to kind of take a little bit of a deeper look, you can take a look at the post that we did inside the PCDIY group. So you can check that out. That's linked in the description, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. So you can join the group and you can find out about announcements there, and you can tag me, ask me questions. Or you can also go to edgeup.asus.com, where we have kind of like a little bit of a quick write-up on these products and kind of their initial features and specifications that we showed off during the launch event. Hey, Richard, my OC was 59 stable, Dark Hero. Yeah, very, very cool. So it sounds like you're having a very good experience with utilizing an overclocking on your 5950X with the Crosshair Dark Hero. That board is purpose built to be able to take, 5000 series processors and be able to give you a stable and reliable overclock. And of course, with that dynamic OC switcher technology, you've got a lot of flexibility in terms of you can kind of tune for best both worlds, right? You can tune for kind of high clock speeds through PBO, but you could also do like a per CCX based overclock, where you could actually benefit from an all core overclock. And then in per CCX, you can even have 2 stages of that. And then just dynamically based on the actual load that is present, it will automatically switch between those 2 different operating parameters. So that's an impressive exclusive technology that we first introduced to the industry on the Crosshair Dark Hero. We now offer in the Extreme board, and also will be offered on the upcoming X570-E Gaming 2 motherboard. So 3 different motherboards have that really cool dynamic OC switcher technology. Hey, Shadow Fox, backlight strobing day. I'm not sure what you mean backlight strobing day. I mean, we've got a lot of different monitors that feature backlight strobing implementation. Generally, when you see a monitor on the ASUS side of the fence that notes what's called ELMB, that is our extreme low motion blur technology, which is essentially a form of backlight strobing. So we do have many monitors that do feature that implementation, which, for those of you not aware, essentially just what backlight strobing helps to offer is it helps to mitigate motion clarity issues. It can help to significantly improve motion clarity. It does have, potential scenarios in terms of when you may want to turn it on versus wanting to turn it off. But the benefit is that when it's successful and really provides an increase in motion clarity, it can be quite startling, and in some scenarios actually can be more impressive in terms of an improvement in motion clarity than you can see just by having a higher refresh rate monitor. So it is a very cool feature. Sorry guys, let me take a quick drink right here. All right, so let's keep moving things along here. We've got more products to talk about. So next up here, we've got an entirely new peripheral product under our ProArt series lineup. And so this one is pretty interesting. I think maybe not a lot of people would have thought that we might have came out with something like this, but I think it's pretty cool. So let me go ahead and bring it up here. Give me 1 second. And I'll first show you these guys here, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay. Yeah, so Shadow Fox, you're asking about actually software to be able to control the OSD. We actually, to my knowledge, we actually were the first vendor to launch this type of software, even before other competitors. So if you look at our range of our monitors, if the monitor says that it has display widget or display widget light, then it will actually have software that allows you to go ahead and customize the on-screen display. So you can make adjustments to different types of profile parameters. So you can switch between, like, let's say, sRGB mode, or if you wanted to go into a customized overdrive mode, or if you wanted to then switch into FPS mode. If you wanted to actually have profile pairings, That's something I really love doing with Display Widget. So essentially, I actually can have a profile specifically set for like when I open up my browser versus when I open up Lightroom versus where, you know, if I'm gaming, I can have 3 entirely different presets and my monitor will switch through that, because having to do that through the on-screen display can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge. So we actually have quite a number of monitors that do feature that. It's called Display Widget or Display Widget Lite, and we have that on our ROG STRIX series of monitors, and we also have it on some TUF Gaming series monitors. All right, guys, so next up here, I want to go ahead and touch on this guy. So this is a new mouse. This one's pretty interesting. It's our first ProArt mouse, the MD300. And so the really cool thing that we're going to be offering here with the MD300 is going to be the integration of the ASUS dial as well. And so the cool thing that you're going to have with the ASUS dial, again, is going to be that flexibility of being able to kind of customize the kind of experience in a lot of different ways. Again, directly tied in with different types of applications, as well as also directly supporting the Windows dial support that is built into the operating system. So here we're definitely trying to focus on being able to give, I think, creatives and professionals, productivity users, a lot of kind of design thinking and a high quality based product. So right here, you can see that you've got the dial that's integrated directly there on the side. You also then have a secondary dial, and you can see that you can adjust it in different directions. It's a 3-button mouse, so there's actually a left and a right and a large and large center, which can be beneficial for different types of CAD or kind of specialized productive design software in that regard. Here you can, of course, see all the brush adjustment that we talked about, just like what we had on some of the other products that I noted that feature the dial-based support. But it doesn't definitely stop there. So let me go ahead and bring up my next set of images for this guy. And we'll get into some kind of the design elements here that this mouse has. Give me 1 second here. There we go. Okay, cool. All right. So the first thing I think that we've gone ahead and looked at is going to be giving you high quality based switches. So traditionally, actually, a lot of standard kind of office productivity mice use somewhat fairly low quality switches. They can sometimes be nondescript. They might not necessarily be that reliable, or they might be conservatively rated, maybe only 1 million, maybe 5 million to 10 million base clicks. We're using very premium based switches, so the same type of switches you would be seeing in our very high-end gaming mice. So great for professionals and productivity users that are really kind of consistently clicking and utilizing the mice. So 50 million, that's going to be great. Another thing too is that these are going to be using the same type of technology that we have on our gaming mice, where if I go ahead and just pull back quickly here, you will have the ability to actually access the inside of the MD300. So you can essentially open up the mouse and you could replace the switch. So just like what we offer on our gaming mice, like this mouse right here, you will be able to go ahead and replace the switches. That can be nice if you just are looking for something that maybe has a different level of resistance or from a general kind of repair element. So that is going to be a nice point that's there. Features quick charging support, very, very high performance based battery in here as well. It's going to be quite a bit better than what we see, I would say, in terms of comparison to the industry standard, in terms of the kind of the expectation in terms of not only the sensor, but also the battery capacity. Many of the batteries that are probably within this segment are probably somewhere between like 400 to maybe probably like 600 milliamps. So this is an 800 milliamp battery, so it's going to last longer and also has that quick charging support. The sensor has been tuned to be able to have flexibility to be able to work on across pretty much all kinds of surfaces. Now it's not a gaming mouse, so of course it's not going to have you know, a super high DPI type sensor here, but it's still a 4200 base sensor. It's laser based. Laser is kind of beneficial in terms of giving you that flexibility at using it, especially even on other surfaces like what you would have with glass or very kind of shiny type surfaces. Has a full software-based interface, so you can go ahead and customize all the standard elements, including those dials that we have on there. And here you can kind of see it integrated where if you're in a workflow and you were kind of adjusting different items right there, you're good to go. Now, some of the other kind of nice things that this mouse also has that are kind of in a premium design point is that the scroll wheel, it is a premium scroll wheel, has a really nice indent-based design, and it's actually machined aluminum. So it's got a really nice kind of fit and finish to it. You can kind of see a little bit of a close-up to it right there. Okay. And the feet are also going to be 100% PTFE free. Again, doesn't seem like a big deal, but a lot of kind of, I'd say, general productivity mice don't actually have that, I'd say, high quality based feet, so they don't necessarily always have a kind of like the smoothest tracking. So I think it's nice that, again, that you get those kind of premium feet that are on there. So essentially the easiest way to look at it, right? You've got those 3 large buttons that you have available to you. You have, of course, the dial and the side scroll wheel that are going to be present on there, the PTFE feet, the quick charging support, the long battery life. Those are all going to kind of go in there, along with then the premium 50 million rated switches, and then the ability to be able to swap out the switches, I think are all going to be nice points. So it's pretty cool. And this also, critically, some people don't realize, but the polling rate on some kind of general productivity mice are pretty poor. Some of them only have like 125 hertz polling rate. This is 1,000 hertz polling rate, so it's actually very similar in terms of whether you go wired or wireless. You get very, very good polling performance. So it's smooth, responsive, accurate, just feels good when you're utilizing it. So again, not a gaming-centric mouse, but for professionals and creatives, it's going to be pretty cool. So overall, pretty sweet addition that we have here in terms of the ProArt lineup. And there will also be a little bit of an addition that, you know, maybe some of you guys on the enthusiast side might appreciate, but we also are going to have kind of a complimentary set of mouse pads that are going to be coming out for the creator line. So not something like we're going to have with our ROG sheath, which are going to be super, super, you know, gaming centric. But here we're going to have 2 different designs, very clean. They actually have antibacterial based essentially composition, so they actually help to resist any type of kind of bacteria that might be in your hands. They're essentially kind of that spill proof based design, so you can easily wipe them and you can clean them. The top of the actual pads themselves also have magnets in them, so it allows you to actually go ahead and kind of quickly kind of dock in place different types of items that would magnetically sit there. There's also a little loop strap there, so you could tie different kinds of cables or different things in place there that you might utilize. And as you saw, will come in 2 different dimensions. Okay, that's cool there. So that is going to be the MD300. So that's going to be the ProArt mouse. All right, last but not least, I've got one more, I think, update here from that Uncreate event. So give me 1 second, and then we will jump into the rest of the stuff. So yeah, we had our PA32DC display. We had the ProArt mouse. We had the mouse pad, and we had the PA147CDV. And then we had the MQ13AH. Okay, actually no, that covers us for essentially all those new products from the Create the Uncreated event that we launched. And so again, you guys can also head over to edgeup.asus.com and see kind of a little bit of write-up on all the other products, or check out the full live stream, which is on YouTube or Facebook. So some cool products there. So now I'm going to give you guys some general availability updates and just talk about some new products that we actually have coming out over the next couple of weeks, and we'll kind of keep moving things along. And if anybody's got any other questions, of course, feel free and ask there. Oh, hey, Connor, Thor 2. Don't have any information to tell you. All I can tell you is make sure to keep it tuned, man. You're already part of our group, so of course you will get an update soon. But rest assured, more information coming for the next generation Thors in the not too distant future. So those of you that are looking for some sweet PSUs, we've got definitely some stuff coming down the pipeline. So make sure to keep it tuned there. Hey, Richard. Sorry, it looks like you're asking also here about G-Skill Trident Royal Elite 4000 megahertz C14. Is it stable? So this is an interesting question. Before I kind of get into the next thing, is that you actually want to keep in mind that when you talk about memory being stable or validated, we can validate the memory. I can tell you that frequency has been validated along with that latency. It's not a question of being able to be run on the board. The bigger problem that you're going to have is that the Infinity Fabric, as well as the memory divider, is actually dependent on the memory controller, which is based in the CPU. Not every single CPU will be able to run a high Infinity Fabric, so 1900 or 2000, and you also may actually have your memory divider have a challenge at being able to run a higher memory divider. There's a reason why AMD defines the base SPD support for the CPU at 3200 megahertz. Any value over that is an overclocked value, and as you actually increase that value, the actual likelihood that the IMC can actually run at a higher frequency goes down. This actually gets even more complicated when you talk about a density and overall kind of a rank. So that means like if you're running 2 DIMMs versus 4 DIMMs, that also can kind of present more challenges. 2 DIMMs is always going to be easier than 4 DIMMs. So that's also kind of a factor. What I would probably say confidently is that in most scenarios, we would expect probably most memory controllers on 5000 series CPU to probably comfortably be able to hit a tight timing ratio of C14 class for 3600 or for 3700. As you get beyond that, there's a possibility your CPU might be able to do it. The board's not going to be holding you back, but there's no way to know what the quality of your IMC is. One thing though to keep in mind as well though is the crosshair, because it features OptiMem3, it's a specialized memory topology that we have on the motherboard. It actually can allow you to run a tighter set of timings that traditionally, let's say if you can't get to a higher frequency, you can actually tighten up the timings. So an example is we've done actually performance tests. Take for instance, like taking a kit that might be like a C16 kit, and we can have that C16 kit run at the same frequency but at C15 by just slightly bumping up the DRAM voltage, where if we try to run that same type of tighter tolerance, you couldn't actually operate that on a non-OptiMem3 based motherboard. So there's a lot of tweaking benefits that you have when you go with the Crosshair series of motherboards. So hopefully that helps to answer your question there. Okay. PG3TQ availability, I've already talked about this in prior streams. The best thing you can do is just take a look at our PCDIY product release calendar. We'll probably be looking at availability for this later on, probably as we get to the kind of very end of September, we move into October timeframe. Okay. All right. So next up, guys, let me go ahead and just quickly give a couple of updates here. So one is I did want to kind of quickly just touch on the Ryujin, because I know some people had some questions about this guy. So let me go ahead and talk about the Ryujin quickly, and then I'm going to talk about some promos, and then we'll talk about some other new products that we've got coming out right here. So one second here, guys. Yeah. So for those of you not aware, this is the Ryujin 2. This is kind of like our flagship series AIO. It's got a really big 3.5-inch LCD display. It comes with premium IPPC Noctua-based fans. It also comes with a high-end fan and ARGB splitter and controller included inside the box. You can see actually a little image of it here. This model will be coming out in the not too distant future. It is still not yet launched, so some people have been asking, is it available? I can't find it. You can't find it because it has not been launched in North America yet. The only model that we've launched that is part of our refreshed AIO coolers is the ROG STRIX LC2 280. But the other models such as the 240 or the 360, as well as the Ryujin 240 or the Ryujin 360, those have not actually been released. We'll also actually have a TUF Gaming updated model, which will actually have the new design language that we introduced on some of the motherboards and graphics cards as well. But this model, again, you're going to be looking for availability information towards this end of the month as we move into early October. We will have a full dedicated live stream that will actually cover these coolers. I'll be doing some performance demos showing actually the new options that we have included within the UI interface for Armory Crate and the different types of options you can have for the on-screen display. But again, more information for the availability as we get to the end of the month. I believe that's already been updated in the product release calendar. If not, I'll work on updating it hopefully this weekend, and we'll make sure that information is up to date in that regard. But all the coolers, like I said, you're going to be looking towards the end of this month as we move into October. Okay. And here you can see the 360 version. And this one will also still include the same kind of integrated VRM assist fan, which you can see the reason why that there's venting there on the actual housing for the LCD display. All right, guys. So that is an update there on the Ryujin 2. Okay, so next up, let's go ahead and talk about some quick promos that we got going on. So there's actually a few promos that we got going on. So give me 1 second here. Let me get these loaded up here. All right, so if you guys have been kind of interested in checking out some mice, we've got, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mice that are all on Amazon right now. They got some pretty good discounts that are going to be going on. So I'll give you guys a little bit of kind of a show on some of these and just kind of let you know what's on up. So one of them is going to be the ROG Strix Impact 2. This is a wired gaming mouse. It's got, I think, $10 off. It's $40. It's got a really nice high quality optical sensor on it, zero acceleration. It has the ability to customize the switches in terms of the push fit socket design. Nice TPE based cable, which is smooth. Got some nice little RGB lighting zones on it. Pretty much an ambidextrous based design, complementary for, I'd say, like claw and fingertip type users. If you got a little bit smaller hands, you could argue that it could maybe be a little bit of palm or like a little bit of a hybrid type design. But this is definitely a cool mouse. It's right here. I can actually do a little bit of a close-up shot if you guys want. And again, if you're not familiar, pretty much all the mice I'm going to be probably talking about, I think all will have the push fit socket design. They will have different ways that you can access the push fit socket design, but essentially what that just means is that once you remove a couple of screws, you can remove the shell, and then you can actually pull out the switches, and if you want to replace the switches, you could customize them, and you could go with kind of any number of different switches. So let me go ahead and just show you quickly what that looks like on a close-up shot of the cam before we get to some of the other mice, and we will go from there. But again, this model, I think for 40 bucks is a really nice option. So let me just get a little bit of a shot right here, guys. Okay. So here we go. All right. So here you can see this is actually the wireless version of the mouse, but it pretty much will look the same in terms of the the wired to the wired version. But I'm going to go ahead and pull that off, and you can see right here, this is the actual switch housing, right? This is the push fit socket design. Now you can see I actually already pulled that out and I already replaced one of the switches. But these are all essentially what you would call micro switches. So if you wanted to go ahead and customize this, you could just pull out that switch, and let's say maybe I want something that's a little bit, higher performance, or maybe feels a little bit smoother, maybe even a little bit quieter. You can go different routes. Pretty much, there's a lot of different types of micro switches, but you can see you can just pull out the micro switch, pop it in there, and you're good to go. So it's a very, very simple process. So not difficult at all. And then from there, you pretty much just put that back on. There's a couple of screws that you get locked in, and you're pretty much set. Again, this is the wireless version, but the wired version pretty much looks identical to this. So this is going to be when it's on promo. So you can see already the link there that's in the chat for this model. Hey, Omar, no, right now we don't have any plans for ASUS branded RAM, but we're always working with partners in terms of validation. Okay, so next up here, let me go ahead and show you guys another model that we have here that's on promotion, and this is going to be the Keras. So Keras is going to be a really nice option. This one I think is a fantastic deal, guys. This is pretty crazy. This is our wireless edition, and it's literally almost the same price as the wired version. Okay, so this is the Keras wireless right here, and this is coming in for $67.50 right here. So this is normally a $100 price mouse, so you're saving almost $33 for the price of this mouse right now. You can literally get, if you buy the wired version, which this is a wireless and wired mouse, it's $66 for the wired version. So you're literally going to pay $2 extra to get the wireless version. So to me, that's a super bargain in terms of trying to get a great mouse. And if you're looking for something ultra lightweight, high performance, the Keras wireless is really an outstanding option. This is 16,000 DPI. It comes with our super premium right here. These are our ROG micro switches. These are rated for 70 million clicks. They feature a very premium electroplated junction right there that actually helps to resist against oxidation and damage over time. You can actually see right here, if we take a little bit of closer look, it's got a storage bay, so you can go ahead and have your wireless adapter, docks right in there. But it does have 3 different modes right here, so you can go USB Type-C. It uses our new ROG paracord cable, super lightweight. 100% PTFE feet. These are premium, very, very high quality feet. It includes a secondary set that's also inside the box. You can go Bluetooth. You can also go 2.4 gigahertz wireless, or you can go USB-C. You've got your DPI switch button that's also built on to this unit as well. These right here are premium PBT finish. So it's a different material than the actual base of the body. It's got a little bit of nice texture to it. It has a little bit of nice additional grip to it. You can customize these. These by default doesn't necessarily have to be pink. You can go ahead and swap this out to different colors. So these do give you some insets inside the unit. And just like I talked about with the other mouse, if you want to go ahead and customize this unit, same thing, you would go ahead and just remove these two little mounts right here, have the access to the inside, and you can go ahead and swap out these switches. But this is really, really sweet unit. Up to 78 hours in terms of battery life. Also supports fast charging support on this unit as well. And this model also is NVIDIA Reflex certified. So really, really impressive. This also has what's called our zero gap design, where this actual button right here makes direct contact with the micro switch. And most mice, there's actually a gap between where the actual plunger and the top of this portion makes contact. And that actually can add to kind of misfires or double click based issues. But we actually have a specialized design that we call a zero gap based design, which gives us very, very good click accuracy and consistency between the two. And that's another nice thing too about the ROG micro switches compared to like a traditional, standards kind of switch, is that the tolerances on the ROG micro switches are very, very tight. They're better than the industry standard. So the consistency between the left and the right buttons is very high. So again, this mouse, literally $2 more than the wired version, $67.95, 16,000 DPI, 400 IPS, 40 grams in terms of the acceleration, 1,000 hertz polling rate for USB and for 2.4 wireless. And really just fantastic option right here. And also lightweight, the wireless version, 79 grams. So that is the Keras wireless version right here. Hey, I'm actually going to be talking about that model right there, Onfi, the actually AHP. It'll actually be coming out towards the very end of this month and the beginning of next month. So we just are actually pushing out that model right now, but I'll be talking about that model just right actually once I finish up these mice right here. So, but we will be coming out with that model, specifically the white model. Okay, so that is the Keras, excuse me. The next one right here that we have on promo is going to be the Chakram. So this is the Chakram. This is also going to be a wired and wireless mouse. Actually tri-mode, so you can use it USB-C. You can do it 2.4 gigahertz, or you can also go ahead and do Bluetooth. So you have all three options available to you. So there is the link for this model as well. So this is a very high performance model. Normally this is $160 and right now it's $131. So you're almost saving 30 bucks for this model. So this one, very, very similar in terms of a lot of the design elements. Very, very nice mouse. It's got a lot of nice lighting zones. So one lighting zone right here, it has this nice translucent finish. You can see it's got this cool little lighting that's also right there. It also has this joystick that's integrated into that you can go ahead and customize. Nice for people that have bigger hands, because you have that little bit of that lip that goes down there on the side, a little bit of longer body. This one has some customization elements right here with the back. You can also see the direct storage right there that's available to you if you want to easily go ahead and dock the wireless adapter. These are also magnetic right here where you can remove these. So if you want to customize the push fit socket design as well, you don't even have to have any screws. You can literally just remove that, have access to the screws, and then you can pretty much just do that. So it's a very, very simple way to be able to customize the switches on this model. Same thing, premium light, high quality feet that's also on here, DPI button, and then the different ways to be able to go ahead and adjust everything. This model also does support Qi wireless charging. So if you've got like our charging mat right here, it's a little bit over right here. This is our Baltius. You can go ahead and charge this through wireless charging support. So that is, and let me see if I put that just side by side so you can see, right? You can kind of get a little bit of a sense of the size. Keras is the most compact, but pretty similar there to the Impact, and you can see that the Chakram is a bit on the larger side. Okay, so I think I left you guys that link right there for that model. Okay, very, very nice unit as well, and this one is also NVIDIA Reflex certified as well. Okay, and we also do have the Chakram Core. So the wired version. So if you like this and you just want to kind of step down to the wireless, not going from the wireless version, you can get the wired version, and the wired version is also on promo. It's only $70. So you can either get the wired version for $70, or you can get the wireless and wired version for $130. Okay. And next up, I think we've got, let me see here. Oh, the Pugio 2. We got one more over here. Pugio 2 is right there. I really love this one. Long, lean body, ambidextrous base design. This one's $13 off, $87. Normally it's $100. Again, this one is going to be a multiple options that you have available to you. So you can see that you've got your USB-C. This one also has the wireless adapter, and you actually have the same type of storage flexibility. So you can see you can pull off the shell, you can store it in there. You've got a nice little ROG logo. I love that it's got the little underlighting glow effect right here, PTFE feet. You also have the DPI adjustment that's also available on this unit right there. So this is going to be the Pugio 2. Very, very, very nice mouse. I really also, just like I said, love the aesthetic of the Pugio 2. And let me see if I went ahead and put in, let me put that link in there for you guys. Hey, Kevin, thanks for the feedback on a 420 millimeter Kudu. 420 millimeters, pretty non-traditional. We generally find that most users that are considering that would consider actually custom water cooling, and also very few chassis have support for 420 millimeters. So right now we've maintained our focus on 120, 240, and 360. But you know, you never know. And last but not least, we've got one other one that I want to talk about. And this one, it's going to look a little bit different. This is from actually our prior generation. It's a wired-based mouse. But for less than $40, we've got the ROG Gladius 2 Core. This is actually a little bit slightly a different model. This is the Gladius 2 Standard, which was a little bit higher end, but the overall design is pretty similar with this kind of central DPI button right here. Nice body, still independent switches. You still can go ahead and customize the push-fit socket design. High quality optical based sensor on that unit. And this one's coming in for $38.50, so less than $40. You can get the Gladius 2 Core. So very, very nice mouse. 6200 DPI sensor, 220 IPS in terms of the performance on this unit. And it's just a fantastic mouse. I absolutely love it. It's got a really nice ergo design to it. And again, this one is coming in for less than $40 right now. So some really nice promo options right there if you guys are checking out some mice that you guys are going to be interested in. Okay. Okay. So that wraps up, I think, pretty much all our mice. So go ahead and just move that out of the way, guys. And just finish up here with some of these new items, and we will keep moving things along. So definitely jump on it, guys. Those promos are probably going to be expiring in the not too distant future. So definitely, if you guys are interested in picking up some of those sweet mice, you're definitely going to want to take advantage of those promos while they're available right now. Oh, hey, Cam. Yeah, it is it's actually a nice screwdriver, isn't it? I can tell you, I'm picky about my screwdrivers, and actually it's a pretty nice precision-based screwdriver. It's a full metal body. It's got a nice tip to it. It's a nice little addition that comes included with the premium boards there that works perfectly for being able to get, you know, your M.2 or kind of mounting in the motherboard or other items like that. So I think it's a nice little just touch that you can have. So thanks for the feedback on terms of the inclusion of that item. Definitely the Extreme comes with a lot of stuff that's inside the box, though. It's definitely a premium motherboard. A lot of things come in there. Okay, guys, so that covers up our promos that I wanted to go ahead and touch on. So next up, like now, let's go ahead and jump into some new products that we got here. So give me 1 second here. First up is going to be, actually, I think, yeah, somebody already asked about it. So let's go ahead and actually just jump into it. It would be here, the XG16. So XG16 is going to be a monitor. So give me 1 sec here. All right. So this is going to be the XG16AHP-W. This is going to be coming in at $449. You're going to probably be seeing it available in terms of availability as we move towards the very end of this month and the beginning of October. This is going to be a fantastic option. Again, it's a portable display right here that you're going to have available to you. IPS-based display. It's high refresh rate. It's a really nice based option. So if especially you want to be able to add a flexibility to your setup, you can see right here it's being used with the laptop, but you could totally use this with a wide range of different types of devices. It's not limited to only used with, of course, a laptop based setup. You're going to have different types of options here. Here, of course, this is the white variant where we do also have a black model, so you can get it in white or in black. And you can see that it has an integrated kickstand, folds down, so you can go ahead and throw it into a bag or a backpack or anything, excuse me, or a backpack. But because of the flexibility you have with connectivity, both with the micro HDMI as well as your USB-C that supports the display alt connection, you can pretty much use this with whatever. You can use it with a smartphone, you could use it with a laptop, you could use it with a desktop, you could use it with a console, you could use it with, as you can see right there, a Nintendo Switch. You can use it with a lot of different devices just to be able to go ahead and give yourself a high refresh rate, high quality based portable display. This model does also integrate speakers. It does actually have an ESS Saber DAC that's built in, which handles the actual amplifier for those speakers. Of course, it's not going to be, I would say, as good as having a nice quality pair of headphones, but those speakers do actually allow for some nice, reasonable dialogue and punchiness in terms of audio. Great for being able to watch like online video, you know, if you're checking something out, or if you're playing with friends on something like that, it's nice just to be able to have the audio that's directly accessible on that. Or if you just kind of want to listen back to a little bit of music, maybe a podcast, watching a video, maybe you're checking out the PCDIY live stream. It's a nice little kind of additional benefit that you have in terms of being built into the monitor. Now here you can see that it has the integrated kickstand. That allows you to go ahead and adjust it. This model does also come included though with a tripod mount, so you have flexibility to be able to adjust that. You can see the connections here on the side, including, as I noted, the USB-C and the micro HDMI connection. There is also an analog line level connection there, so if you want to plug headphones directly in, you can also do that as well. And that base of this monitor does have that integrated speaker. And like I said, there's an ESS Saber DAC and amp that's in there. And that's beneficial, especially because the audio on some other devices isn't necessarily the great. Like the built-in audio that you might have like on a Switch console can definitely be improved by the actual DAC and amp that's there. So whether you're going to then plug in an analog line level headphone or you're going to use the speakers that are integrated in here, they're actually better than the speakers you would have on that device natively. So overall, this is a pretty sweet unit. You can see that you can utilize it in different configurations in terms of the actual orientation as well. So a lot of flexibility that you have available to you there. So you can pretty much, you know, set it up however you like. I like that in terms of just having that flexibility. Now this model is going to be, excuse me, let me go ahead and just bring up one more set of images here for you guys. So we just showed you a vertical there. Let's show you some of the things that come included with it. And this is going to be 144 Hertz IPS-based display. It does actually support G-Sync compatibility. It's a non-glare based display, and it has a pretty large beefy battery. It's a 7800 milliamp battery, so it actually can support multiple hours. It actually can go over 3 hours if you drop down from the 144 Hertz. But if you're running it at the highest refresh rate, you will still get a few hours in terms of the overall battery life. So here you can see kind of the cool little accessories that come along with it for, of course, charging, adapters, of course, the bag that comes there. Here's the integrated tripod. This model will come with the tripod, so you do have the ability to directly mount it. So again, you could just fold it down, you could put it inside your bag, and then you could take it out, and then you could have access to having that. And again, you can use this in a horizontal or in a vertical orientation. Because it's an IPS-based display, it works well in that regard. And you can see how the actual tripod folds down. It's a very nice quality tripod. It's not a cheap tripod. It feels good in hand. It's got a good, nice weight to it. It feels stable and reliable. It has an actual locking mechanism, and you can see that the actual top of the head also allows for adjustment and rotation options. So you can kind of help to kind of get it dialed in exactly where you want to be able to have it. The other thing too is that if you're kind of wondering about the color accuracy performance, it does support full 100% sRGB coverage. As I noted, it is an IPS-based display, and it's 300 nits for brightness, which is actually pretty nice in terms of punchiness for brightness. So that is going to be the ROG STRIX XG16AHP-W, and again, that model is going to be coming in at $449, and you'll be seeing this available, like I said, towards the very end of the month, moving into the beginning of October. Hey, Stefan, I'm not sure what you're asking about on 27-inch monitor or 28-inch monitor. I do got some monitors I'm going to be talking about right now that might actually be in that wheelhouse that you're going to be, that might kind of work for you, but I'm not sure. So just kind of keep it tuned here and we'll kind of see what works for you guys. And again, if you guys do want to check out a little bit more about this monitor, I'm going to go ahead and link this right here in the chat for you guys. And let me just go ahead and show you guys this. And so here is the display, and you can see it's got everything kind of broken down in here. Again, built-in tripod, IPS 144, 7800 milliamp battery, USB-C or micro HDMI. There's a video that'll kind of walk through everything so you can kind of check it out. There's that adjustable kickstand that I noted, but again, it also comes with the tripod, and you can see how you can kind of set it up in a lot of different configurations. Quick release tripod works really nicely. Your ROG sleeve, the tripod, and of course the monitor. 15.6 inch in terms of the dimension, 100% sRGB, and then 1920 by 1080, 144 hertz, and G-Sync compatible as well. Quick charge support, few hours in terms of the battery life, of course, all your active connections there. And you can see 900 grams is actually pretty lightweight, especially for a nice quality display that you have right here. And then, as I noted, that ESS Sabre DAC that's integrated in there. All right, guys, so that covers that guy. Okay, so next up, let's go to our next product. And our next product, we're going to go to a bigger monitor. This is going to be a TUF Gaming based display. So this is the, excuse me, got it right here. Yep, this is going to be the TUF Gaming VG28UQ L1A. So the big thing here for this monitor is it's going to be an HDMI 2.1 based monitor. So I know for some people out there, they've kind of been waiting for some of these HDMI 2.1 monitors. I mean, for most, I'd say gamers, it's not going to be critical because, of course, you can really kind of benefit already from everything that you need when you're talking about utilizing DisplayPort. But with HDMI 2.1, of course, this does give you flexibility if maybe you're in a certain scenario where you need that, maybe in a console. But keep in mind, actually, most consoles, even the latest generation, kind of like Xbox Series and PlayStation consoles, the target actually you want to shoot for is going to be at 120 hertz, 120 frames, and that's going to usually be like in a boosted performance, which is still going to be at HD, not necessarily 4K. So even then, you don't actually need an HDMI 2.1 display to be able to play at high refresh rate. It's only going to be in very rare specific scenarios that you would have to have an HDMI 2.1 based display. But here you can see all your actual connections, VESA mount support. You also have a headphone jack or line level connection there, and an integrated USB 3 hub that's also integrated on this unit right here. Multiple points of adjustment as well. Nice base design with some integrated cable management and a nice stable base, which of course is known. And keep in mind, of course, for all of our TUF Gaming based monitors, just like our ROG series monitors, they also come with a 3-year warranty. So you're going to have 3-year coverage in North America, which again, not necessarily every monitor is going to offer that type of coverage. So in terms of your core specs, 28 inches, 4K. So this is going to be 3840 by 2160. It's a fast IPS based display, 144 hertz, 1 millisecond gray-to-gray response time, G-Sync compatible and FreeSync. So you have support for both of those. ELMB Sync, which is our backlight strobing technology, which can work in tandem with adaptive sync. Many times backlight strobing cannot work at the same time as adaptive sync, but ELMB Sync means that you can actually support both of these. And it also supports variable overdrive, which can be really nice in terms of helping to adjust certain types of, let's say, kind of on-screen artifacts or certain types of elements that might be present depending on kind of the performance setting of the display. So essentially, this just gives gamers more flexibility to kind of be able to dial in the best picture quality relative to the best performance markers that the monitor is operating at. And with Display HDR 400, while that's not necessarily representative of giving you the highest level of HDR experience, Display HDR is going to mean that it's going to be a brighter display than a standard monitor that might be 250, 300 nits. So you're going to get a punchier display that's just going to be brighter and it's going to look better and it gives you more color pop. And even DCI-P3 coverage, 90% is pretty impressive. So you get some nice overall saturation right there. So as I noted, HDMI 2.1 that's present on there. So a lot going on there. This is going to be, I think, a very, very popular display for a lot of people. It's pretty much got kind of every key spec that you could want here. Great for desktop-based gamers as well as, I think, for console gamers. The DSC technology, of course, helps to make sure that you don't have to worry about kind of any color banding issues or things like that. eLMB sync, as I noted, you can have simultaneously running with adaptive sync, which I think is beneficial. Your variable overdrive, which just helps to adjust the overdrive setting based on the actual frame rate. And like I said, helps you to go ahead and ensure that you're going to get a better, clearer, and overall better experience, especially as you're talking about the overall faster refresh rate that the display supports. And here, we talked a little bit about this earlier. This monitor does support our display widget light software, so you can see this is software that you can install, and then you can control the on-screen display inside of Windows. And so I really love this because you can go in and you can go ahead and customize things like, shadow boost, game plus modes, which would be different types of enhancement options for kind of your gameplay, different types of actual presets that you can have. And also, I really like it from the perspective that you can go ahead and pair it with different types of profiles, app profiles. So you can have like one display profile, let's say for your browser, another display profile for watching, videos, like if you've got, video on demand like Netflix or Hulu or something like that installed, and then you could have something specific to games. So it's pretty sweet in that regard. So pricing on that display is going to be $799. That's going to be for the VG28UQ L1A. Yeah. All right, guys. Sorry, let me see if there's any questions there. Hey, interesting. Sorry, Darketh. Can you confirm for me what you're asking about? Will there be a touchscreen variant? We talked about earlier some touchscreen-based models as far as monitors, so I'm not sure what you're referring there. So if you can clarify, I'll try to see if I can answer your question there. As far as a budget version of an Apex board, there can't be a budget version of an Apex board. The Apex board is our high-end overclocking series board. It's kind of there to complement the Extreme series and also the Hero series. I would say generally the Hero is going to be positioned a little bit lower than the Apex, but the Apex has really been purpose-built for kind of the most demanding overclockers and tweakers and tuners and enthusiasts. And there's a lot of specialized things that people don't realize, that it's not just, your inductors, it's not just your capacitors, it's not just your power stages, the VRM heatsink. There's specialized PCB topology. There are specialized actually microcontrollers that we have on the board that allow for more advanced things like differential voltage detection and sensing. There's a lot of subtle elements that go into producing, these very specialized high-end boards. So making a quote-unquote lower cost option would inherently limit the achievement of what we're trying to realize. At the same time, though, when we talk about ready and very capable overclocking series motherboards, the ROG STRIX boards, especially I think the Dash F and the Dash E, you can see that they're actually utilized even by the extreme community. We have very impressive high-performing DRAM overclocking, CPU overclocking that is residently achievable on a Dash F and Dash E series board. So in my perspective, I would say that would be an option. And if you had to pick something that was below the Apex, the Hero is really an outstanding board choice. Of course, it's not going to be too dim focused, like in the same way the Apex is. But I also find, though, that few users are necessarily really making the time investment to maximize the overclocking capability of the Apex in that 2DIMM configuration. So if it's really going to be used more like a traditional board, the Hero is probably the better choice. All right. So for the portable, for the portable display, so I think when you were talking about that, we talked about the XG16. Yes, we do have multiple MB series touch display monitors. If you probably wanted to take a look at one here, let me go ahead and put one in there for you. We have a couple of different options really, but this would be kind of one that I would check out right here. Let me go ahead and just put it in for you. But there are multiples that we offer. So let me just show this one to you quickly here. This is the PA147CDV. We also do have the MB series, and we do have actually touch MB series monitors that would be a little bit lower price point. But this is a 14-inch IPS, 100%. You can see Rec 709, outstanding color accuracy, Kalman verified, has the ASUS style in here, and fully supports 10-point touch. So this is a really fantastic option if you want a color accurate touchscreen based display. If you're again looking for something that might be a little bit lower in cost, this one you can see also supports the tripod, right? Then maybe look at one of our MB series monitors, but this would be an option for you if you're looking for a touch-enabled portable display. Okay. All right. I hope that answers your question there. All right. So next, let's go to our next product here. Actually, let's go ahead and stay in the wheelhouse for monitors. So this is going to be a MB series monitor, but this is going to be a very aggressively priced option. So if you've been looking for a low-cost option for a portable display, this is going to be the monitor that you're going to want to check out. This is only 130 bucks. Okay, this is going to be the MB 165B. Okay, so the main thing here that is going to be a little bit different is that this is not a full 1080p based monitor, but I still think it's a fantastic option for those that just want a nice kind of secondary portable display. It is going to be 1366 by 768, so it's still an HD based resolution. But again, $130, very, very price aggressive in terms of the overall price point. And you can see right there, you can use it in, of course, both orientations. And we can show you the primary product page for this guy as well. So let's go ahead and just kind of run through your standard specifications here on this guy. And this one, same thing. You'll be looking at kind of release for this as we get to kind of the very end of the month and move into October timeframe. So 15.6 inches. So that's nice as a secondary alternate display. 1366 by 768. It does have narrow bezel design, anti-glare surface. You can also see right here the power and the signal can be supplied by this just standard USB 3 cable that connects through it as far as that goes. There is a tripod socket right there that gives you flexibility, and there's the foldable sleeve for flexibility in terms of how you can position it and orient it. You can see very thin, 11.8 millimeters, 0.78 kilograms. So very, very thin, light, compact, easy to connect to and utilize right here. So it's a very nice monitor. And again, somebody that might have asked before, you can see just some of the other models that we have that are recommended right here if you want to check those out. If you're looking for, of course, something that might be higher end, where maybe you want to have something that is going to be, full 1080p, or you want, 14 inches, maybe thinner, maybe lighter, more color accurate. We've got quite a bit of portable based displays. Okay, so that is going to be the MB right there. And let's go next here. Let me see. Oh, okay, guys. Yeah, let's go right here. So this is going to be an update to our webcam. This is going to be the ROG IS. Okay, guys. So we already previously released this model, but we went ahead and made some additions to this model. This one is going to be coming in at $99, so just about essentially $100 for this version. And the main benefit here that you're going to get is going to be our AI noise canceling mic technology and a little bit of a higher resolution, which can operate at a lower frame rate. The claim to fame for this is definitely 1080p. 60 FPS is supported on this. This uses actually a smartphone-based sensor, so it actually has good dynamic range, good contrast, good sharpness in terms of the detailing. It's got a nice flexible design that allows it to easily kind of mount onto the top of a laptop or to the top of the monitor. Although it does have a threaded mount support, so that if you want to put it on, again, a tripod as well, you do have that flexibility. That little LED indicator comes on to let you know that essentially it is on and active. There you can see the connector and the base right there for the unit. Let's go ahead and take a closer look here at the specs here for this guy. So as I noted right there, you can see Full HD, 1920 by 1080, 60 FPS. The ASUS AI noise ASUS AI noise canceling technology. So those microphones, there's a hardware IC that's built in that manages that. So there's no load, there's no overhead that's placed on your system. So this is great if you've got maybe an older system, you've got an older laptop, and you want to be able to have, you know, a nice webcam that's good quality, along with, like I said, the microphone all vented in, so you don't have to have an optional secondary mic. You can just all have it fully integrated in there. A blue glass filter, which actually helps as well as reducing kind of color shift that sometimes can happen in certain types of environments, especially with certain types of overhead lighting. And that foldable design here, you can see it kind of utilized on a laptop, but it equally can be positioned on top of a traditional monitor. And here's the noise canceling mic technology right there. You can actually see a demo in terms of how it works, and it is actually quite good in terms of its actually capabilities. You can see the foldable adjustment options right there in terms of how you can set it up. And you do have different levels that you can adjust the AI noise canceling. So you can go with a low, medium, or a high level. And you can also adjust the beamforming. So some people might wonder, why would you want to actually be able to enable or disable beamforming? It actually depends on your kind of setup environment. So the benefit of beamforming would be kind of more directionally focused and kind of shutting out anything else that might be to the periphery. But maybe you have two people that might be talking, maybe somebody a little bit off to the side, or maybe like a team group environment or something like that. You actually then might want to actually disable beamforming so that you get actually better coverage for the entirety of all the people that actually might be talking at one time. Okay, so that is going to be the ROG IS. So believe it's a $10 delta between the two models. So again, we have the standard model, it's not going away anywhere. And then we have the upgraded model here, which will, like I said, support a number of those improvements, with I think probably the biggest one being the AI noise canceling technology built into this unit. Okay, and next up here is going to be a pretty cool update that we've got, and that's going to be here. The ROG Etc., which are going to be some USB-C in-ear monitors. So we actually have currently a version right now that is available, and but these are going to be coming out, and these will be coming in at 119, so a little bit more. And the big thing is they're going to be using an entirely new type of driver, so a liquid silicone rubber type of driver, which we're going to do probably, I think, a deeper dive in a stream that actually helps you to kind of understand. But there's some really interesting challenges that you have when you go with small drivers, and traditionally actually the bonding of the external frame material to the actual driver. Utilizing glue, you can actually have inconsistencies that can cause certain types of phase issues. You can actually have variance between the left and the right, and overall general production. There can be a lot of challenges. So actually going to something that's fully bonded and precisely manufactured actually can allow for more amplitude. So it means the actual drivers can be louder, they can be clearer. They can also help to actually have better tonality and overall characteristics, especially for headphones that are kind of tailored for certain types of like environmental noise canceling and things along those lines. So these actually do support quite a number of different types of adjustment parameters, but they are a very nice headset. I'm not going to go into all the different features on this because it's actually a pretty rich IEM headphone, but definitely I think a nice option and pretty sweet. Like I said, natively USB-C, so you can use it on your phone, you could use this on a Switch, you could use it on your desktop, you could use it on any device. And the great thing is, of course, you're going to have additional options that you can also customize within the ROG Armor Crate software if you want to be able to kind of further tailor and kind of tune the audio experience. You can kind of see it right there. We can get a little bit closer and kind of show you some little shots right here. We can go ahead and pull these in here, guys, for you guys. And I'll also bring up the site for the ROG Citra. So you can see it's got some cool little RGB lighting vibes on it. And this is a high-res capable, so especially with a lot of the new services, so Amazon Music HD, Spotify, Tidal, Apple. There's quite a bit of music services that are now offering a higher resolution audio support. So it's nice to be able to actually have a in-ear monitor that fully supports the higher resolution frequencies as well. You can see you have an inline remote to be able to go ahead and easily make all the adjustments that you want. A nice premium ROG carrying case. Lots of different options there in terms of actually being able to get kind of the fit and the placement working well for the size of your ear canals and also the shape of your ears. Native USB-C connection, as I noted. And you can just see kind of all the different types of fit options that come included with the unit here. And this is an inside of the design, and including, like I said, that new liquid silicone-based driver. These are larger than your traditional standard. A lot of kind of base entry units are going to be using maybe like a 4 to probably about a 7mm driver. These, I believe, are a little bit larger than 9mm. So they are going to give you some nice amplitude, some nice punch, good dynamic range, a good bass response, good mid-range, and good tonality without, I'd say, definitely without being harsh or sharp or being too sibilant. Would definitely be something to appreciate. So especially, regardless, I think, of the musical genres that you might listen to, it's going to work well there. But also makes for a good headphone just in terms of just general use, whether it's going to be music, videos, movies, games, whatever it might be. So here you guys can see, remember, these guys are also going to be coming in, like I said, at $119. You are going to have active noise canceling technology along with an ambient mode. So again, environmental friendly in terms of helping to block everything out, whether that's going to be locally inside your house or wherever you're going to be using them, or out on the go. Of course, if you're using them mobile, that ambient mode is nice to be able to pick up some surrounding noise if you want to be able to make sure that you're not kind of fully locked off from everything in there. Those new liquid silicone rubber drivers that we've got there. Integrated microphones with noise suppression technology so that you can have some good, clear dialogue pickup as well. A lot of fitment options there in terms of the course, like I said, fitment to be able to go ahead and have a nice, create a nice seal. Seal is very important in terms of getting good sound, and lightweight. And then, of course, RGB customization, which you have available to you. You can check out a cool little video that kind of goes into detail everything regarding, these Cetra 2s. And we currently already, like I said, have the current models. This is also going to be a little bit different. The aluminum housing, that rigidity along with that liquid silicone driver design helps to really add a consistency and uniformity to these in-ear monitors, which I think are going to be very good, which you don't necessarily always see when you're talking about kind of more basic polymer-based materials. Here's all your control options. You can see volume up, play, volume down. You can quickly toggle off the ANC modes, and you also have an indicator for the ANC mode, which I think is always nice. Of course, you can customize your RGB lighting. You can use it pretty much, like I said, desktop, laptop, phone, switch, whatever you're looking for, your travel case. And then the ROG Armor Crate software, it's really deep. You got lots of different options. You can do bass boost, you can do virtual surround, you have multi-band EQ, you have specialized presets and profiles, lots and lots and lots of different options. And here you've got a full breakdown of all the different models that we have, including, like I said, the current Cetra RGB, which is also a USB-C model, which is currently available right now online. And like I said, this model will be coming out not too distant future, coming in at $119. All right. So I think that almost wraps up everything that we had in terms of that was new. So yeah, we got the Cetra 2, we got the MB165B monitor. We talked about our new ProArt series of products there that we have coming out there, the ROG IS. Ryujin 2 update, also the VG28UQ L1A monitor, and we've got oh no, sorry, we got a couple products left right here. So I've got one other monitor right here, and this is going to be I think a really nice option for people that are looking for something that's in the ultra wide category, but not necessarily maybe gamer, maybe just like a nice ultra wide for general use, general productivity. This is a nice option right here. This is going to be from our VP series. And this is going to be coming in at $269. All right, guys. So you can see right here, it's got, of course, adjustment right here, 29 inches, 21 by 9. So it's 2560 by 1080 IPS-based display. I still got some good ergonomic adjustments. You can see you've got some multiple connections, of course, available to you right there, and that adjustable base. You take a look here at the primary product page, take a look at our key information. So give me 1 second here. This also does have USB-C support, which is nice. We're integrating that on many of our new monitors, which is definitely, I think, a plus point. All right, guys. So you can see VP299CL. As I noted, 29 inches, 21 by 9, 2560 by 1080, IPS-based display, up to 75 hertz. It does support adaptive syncs, 1 millisecond MPRT, and it does support VESA mounting support. Okay. The USB-C does support, of course, DisplayPort signal along with 15 watts of power, which is nice in terms of kind of a pass-through option as well. Very nice, just clean, slim bezel design. And like I said, this is a great model. You can see with the USB integration here, you could easily kind of tie this into utilizing it with other devices. And you can see not as extensive as like maybe our highest end monitors, but you still have height adjustment, tilt, and swivel, which I think is fantastic. Works still really well to be able to kind of help you to optimally set up the monitor. Ooh, I've got actually some alerts here, which is for the last item that I'm going to tease you guys on here with our new Vivowatch SP. All right, guys, so that is going to be the new VP299CL. And again, I believe it's at 269 for that model. Yeah, 269. And last but not least, we've got one keyboard for you guys, and that's going to be the ROG STRIX NX. So let's load this guy in here. And this is going to be an update to, looks very familiar to kind of like a monitor that we're already going to have, but it is going to be a little bit different. And that's because it's going to be using our new NX-based switches. So our NX-based switches are going to still offer cross-compatibility in terms of like standard keycap stems, so that if you want to use your own traditional keycaps, you can. But they do have a little bit of kind of tweaks and tunes to them that from consensus from the community that I think give them a little bit kind of tighter and better feel. They also have better uniformity and consistency because we have tighter tolerances in terms of production. That's going to be, I think, great, especially if you're somebody that does do pretty heavy concurrent-based key action when you're typing. You're going to benefit from that. And there's a couple of other benefits that are actually present on your ROG NX switches. And I will actually link you guys here little page so you guys can check out information about the ROG NX-based switches. But ultimately, you know, one of the key things is going to be the initial force is 40 grams, which is going to be a little bit different than your standard-based switches, and the total force is 55 grams. And that really allows for the overall kind of improvement in terms of not having kind of false depressions, smooth, clean kind of actuation, and then that kind of nice rebound feeling. So overall, these are linear, they're swift, nice quality switches here. I'm a big fan of our ROG RX, which are optical-based switches, but if you prefer a more traditional, you know, standard switch, then this might be an option for you. So here we're going to have this model right here, and we will have also the Moonlight White version, which will be in a TKL-based model. Well, this one is not TKL. You got hardware-level lighting controls on here, multiple profiles available to you on this unit in terms of course, where you can store your customized profiles and your macros. Hardware level macro recording that's also going to be available on this unit. Top shell is aluminum. Let me go ahead and show you guys here kind of the page. So you can see that you've got that enlarged control button down there for just nice having not necessarily strain your pinky. That's going to be a nice option when you want that. You got quick toggle switch where all the media keys, where we prioritize the media keys as opposed to those F keys, but you can go ahead and customize that. A stealth key so you can hit one button to automatically mute the system and reduce any active windows that you have running. Like I said, aluminum top plate that's on there as well. And of course, full per key RGB lighting, controllable all through the Asus AuraSync software. There's that quick toggle that I talked about. The switches here, where you can see where you have red, browns, and blues. The first model that we will be launching, though, will be with the NX Reds. And as I noted, onboard memory, multiple profiles, full N-key rollover support, on-the-fly macro recording support. So this model will be coming in at, I believe it was 139. Yes, that's correct, 139. And this one will be coming not too distant future. All right, guys. Let me go ahead and just put that one in there for you guys as well. All right, very cool. Okay, so that pretty much almost takes care of everything that I wanted to kind of run through, guys. So the last item here that I kind of just want to show it off is going to be one that we'll spend a little bit more time to kind of dive into a little bit more deeply. But if you haven't noticed, it's right here. So ASUS actually does have a history of actually producing quite a number of smartwatches. This is actually going to be our latest model. This is going to be the the Vivowatch SP, and the Vivowatch SP is going to be offering actually some pretty cool functions and features in terms of, I think for users that aren't necessarily kind of like into the extreme focus of having, like I said, a fitness type watch, but more of a general kind of health and lifestyle watch. This works really, really well. It will have smart elements in terms of notification support, but really where the kind of claim to fame is going to come is, I think, in the depth of the different options that will be available in terms of what you're going to have for monitoring options. So you will have, pulse monitoring. You'll have, there's an embedded ECG. For somebody like me, I actually have a specialized heart condition, so it's nice to be able to actually have consistent kind of real-time monitoring that I can see, where I can go ahead and check that. You then have, of course, your pulse transit time, PPT, which is going to be for your pulse O2 level, along with your generalized heart rate. You have altimeter and GPS support in here. We also are utilizing a specialized, screen, which actually does really, really well, even brightly lit conditions outdoors, as well as in darker environments. It still has very good readability, a very good battery life. It's definitely not a watch they're going to have to worry about. They literally have to recharge every day. I find that even with actually GPS utilization, you can generally run over 2 days. And if you're actually not heavily utilizing the GPS, you can actually run multiple days without having to recharge the unit. And you can still take advantage of, like I said, a lot of the consistent tracking and indexing that occurs. So we'll definitely be diving much more deeply into this unit. I'll give you guys just a little bit here of a product page and give you a little bit of a closer shot if you guys are kind of interested in seeing it. But this model will be coming out in the not too distant future. $299 will be the price point for the Vivowatch SP. So let me go ahead and show you guys here. And as I noted, the embedded ECG, the PPG sensors, right, and the pulse transit time. And so there's a lot of hardware functionality built in to be able to give you essentially all those items, and then be able to unify that into a nice, clean, and consolidated app. And definitely the dedicated live stream will dive into kind of showing you all the cool elements in terms of what you have available to you in terms of information, and also some cool kind of what we call harmony elements in terms of how we pull on all that information, the sleep tracking, your pulse, your heart rate, all those things to kind of give you some additional insights and information. And like I said, the GPS and the altimeter are nice too for just general kind of movement tracking and day-to-day tracking, as well as, like I said, for outdoor kind of just tracking for whether you're going to be kind of like out and about, right? Maybe, hiking, camping, fishing, biking, whatever it might be, or, maybe just taking, some nice, scenic walks with your dog, right? Whatever it might be. The watch band is fully, of course, adjustable. It's a nice, actually, silicone band. It has good breathability. It's lightweight. It's comfortable. I can definitely tell you I can sleep in it with no problems right there. And like I said, the day and night health tracking that's automatically occurring is nice because it's all stored within the app. But then you can see right here, you got all that information: blood pressure, heart rate, activity data, stress level information, sleep quality, and much more. And we do have, of course, support for both Android and iOS-based ecosystems. And some cool things too that you can do is you can also go ahead and customize this even further in terms of kind of changing out the watch faces, where you can actually put even your own custom images. So you do have the ability to kind of change up the watch faces. So that is going to be the Vivowatch SP. Like I said, that's going to be coming in $299, but we'll definitely be diving into that a little bit later in a future live stream. So guys, that wraps up our overall stream. Hopefully you guys got some cool insights in some of the latest products that we're going to be coming out to the market with in the not too distant future, as well as, like I said, some of the really cool and exciting products that we have coming out in the ProArt series lineup. And again, remember, if you guys are interested in picking up some mice, we've got some awesome promos going on right now. So definitely I would recommend checking out the promos that we had for a number of those mice that we linked over, where definitely, I mean, there's some of those mice, like I said, that have, you know, discounts that are pretty deep. Namely, I think the biggest value is that the Curious Wireless is literally almost the same exact price as the Curious Wired. You know, it's more than $30 off. I think it's a fantastic value if you're looking for a lightweight, high-performance gaming mouse that can be wired or wireless. It's a really great choice. So, guys, if you guys have any questions, comments, feedback, feel free to go ahead and drop us a comment, whether you're checking us out on YouTube or whether you're checking us out on Facebook. You can also go ahead and make sure to join the PCDIY group. And if you're looking to have any insider information on building your system, upgrading your system, overclocking your system, or any questions about any of the products that we have, feel free to go ahead and hit me up there, or hit us up you know, on the PCDIY email, pcdiy@asus.com. So with that, guys, take care, take it easy, enjoy the rest of your day.